welcome to this tutorial brought to you today by To The Tick, and the subject is bullish continuation patterns. First, let me say that all of these patterns individually are found on the website along with chart samples and a video and text on every single pattern individually, but we're looking for taking a step forward. We also have a video on the patterns as a collective group, and now what we're going to do is start a library, and this is video number 1 to actually study more about bullish continuation patterns in detail. We need to be able to use and look at real chart data and see patterns unfold before us with real data. And for that reason, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes here just outlining my chart very simply. There'll be volume across the bottom and price over on the right-hand side. This is also true of all the samples of examples and things on the website that I offer. And I always try to give you a reference point about something that's happened in the background, a notation to let you know where you are in that bigger picture. And then there'll be reference points in the way of a coloration. For example, this is the dotted purple line. It represents poles, the bullish poles, if you've looked at any of my material describing the concept on continuation patterns. A two-part process, and we look for the pole to be the first part and the most important part about learning continuation patterns, so we start a reference point with that. Then there's a major line here, and since it's this color, and that's the next thing I'll point out, is I try to stick with the same coloration. So this bright blue will always represent the bulls, the purple will be the poles. You'll find the color matching, and that way when you see charts, different time frames, different concepts, we might work other concepts, you'll realize that all my charts I try to stay color coordinated. It's just me. But I try to keep them really simple. This today we're going to introduce as, again, it's a continuation patterns as a group, and just to refresh our memory about what that actually means, we need to be able to see a Webster's Dictionary version of it, and continuation is what we're talking about here. Now, the act or fact of continuing, right? And this is a bullish background, so as we go through these definitions very quickly, because we've already done a video on this, and we've broken these patterns down as a group and looked at trading them as a group. But right now we're going to go prolongation, right, is what we're looking for, something that gets prolonged. We're going to resume after an interruption, meaning we're going to allow ourselves to see this bullish pole, a breakout, and then a pause, and then a resumption after that interruption, right? Something that then continues, not only continues, but increases. Okay, so we get another resumption. Still, it's an interruption, and we increase, and then we add even more to the pattern. So elongation, extension, lengthening, stretching. We're not worried about trying to trade this first thing. There are things in the background. So first and most important tip that I can give you is learn the background patterns of the instrument you're trying to trade. I don't care if you're trading a month chart, a week, a minute, a nanosecond. You need to have some background to show you where you are potentially in a pattern. Are you in a trending pattern? Are you in this segment of the pattern? Where are you? And again, if it doesn't, it's going to continue this structure, and you can find yourself in your instrument. And that's what we're going to do. How do we do that? Looking at real world charts. And so we're going to move back over here to the basic structure I gave you for how I'll outline most of my tools. Very simple, basic. Just stick with the colors and realize I'm very simple-minded that way. And we're going to have today's first lesson. In our first video, we'll take a broad pan out view of one of my favorite trades, because I gave the name to it, the tomahawk. And it's a broad view of the tomahawk, and yet it's very important to understand what established the pole. And again, we're going to start with how this gets started. You'll notice there's a reference point, the bullish base. We discussed that, and that's how it's going to work on your chart, just like I had it planted there. Volume on the bottom, price over here, and again, the reference points, that's a nice bullish, a new bullish line of support. And I'll give you this tool with a nice clean chart for you to be able to use. The concept here is if you are a chartist and you're trying to learn, take the nice clean copy that I offer for you there on the website along with this tutorial video, and take that and work with it and learn the patterns. There's lots of little patterns inside here. Again, we're taking a pan out view here, and we will on occasion take the pan in view and everything in between, but we're going to do a workflow, the process. How does this pattern, this nice big pattern, unfold? What's the payoff for a big pattern when it does unfold? And do we have any tools that we could use that are not visible right here that we could add to this? You know, just getting the ball rolling with how we're going to piece things together. I get very excited. I'll warn you, I get very excited this pattern, the tomahawk, so you'll hear that in my voice. Basically, I was responding to some questions from some students, who's what created this video. So we're going to jump right into it. I've gone crazy, ballistic on putting a lot of images in there on you, but I did it on purpose. I will back off on all that as we move forward. But just to give you a nice sample of what I'm trying to do here, this is a building process, and we're going to work together to get these a starting place together to learn how to trade these bullish trend continuation patterns. So let's go on and get right into it. Pole creation process. If you'll notice the volume across the bottom of this chart, the price action is going up the right side. This is a larger picture. I'll give you that much of a clue, but honestly, we're evaluating patterns, so you're going to find it everywhere. This chart is a larger chart. I like using a little more intermediate chart, and this one gives me a step back away from the forest and gives me a nice picture of the forest as a whole. And again, I'm looking for what my volume tells me. And here's the pole creation. We get a bust through here, same deal. The bears have been having that resistance line. The bulls have pushed through it. And here is your bullish pole creation. Again, trader's choice. Do I start from the last swing low, right before they finally break through? Do I start with where they held this swing low on the pattern on the right shoulder and finally broke through? The point is they finally broke through, and you're looking at a bullish impulsive move. You get a push one, everybody holds the line. They hold that bright blue line. Then you get a push two. Everybody, there's Eckford here, that's the breakout. Notice that bar is dark blue, meaning it closed with more volume selling than buying. But in order to push through, that's exactly what happened. They had to get through that supply. Push two. Then we get a pullback that holds that same price, does not let it come back, and finally the push three. Now, if you know me at all, you know that I believe wholeheartedly in the number 3 when it comes to looking at markets and patterns and efforts. First effort, second effort, third effort, we need a pause. Notice that that's exactly what happens. Nice rounded piece. The volume here, look at that thrusting big old volume bar, and yet price doesn't go anywhere. Right? Finally, when they do let go of it, what happens? You get down here close to the bottom, you get this thrust, and you come all the way back down. But they do not fill back in your gap yet. They do not get back to the breakout line. They don't even get back to the breakout, much less where you started, much less where you started with either of your pole measurements. Right? So to me, that was an entire creation of a pole, but they're not finished yet. We are still working that same pole, and this is where I come in. I say, all right, here's where my pole measurement is. I believe that we started this pattern from here and that this was our first effort. To me, the pole is still in effect. They make an effort here, can't get through it, pull and hold support, an effort, meanders around. The volume is so 50-50, first one blue, dark blue, then a green, 50-50 squaring off. And bottom line is, during the day, there might be 20 points in that. Each chart's different, but the pattern, and this is where I see our pole creation, and then I see a higher, and I see a higher, and I see a higher. In the meantime, it's very tight, very tight, very tight, low, high. This is your second. So 1, 2, 3 of that tight, 1, 2, 3 in the little bitty tight. And now that's what I'm looking for. Where's my apex? Apexes to me are, and everyone that knows me, my students all know, I love the left shoulders of our patterns. I love threes, and I love starting my analysis, my trend lines, from that left line. In this case, bullish, so a left shoulder here. That apex to me is beautiful. Now I'm going to work prove the bulls. Prove it, bulls, that you are holding. Remember, this is a big base back here, and this was a big line of resistance, and they are managing to hold it no matter what. So they get a pull 1, a pull 2, a pull 3, and again, that nice little diagonal here that breaks, beautiful channel trading. Look at who's in control in your volume. Dumping, buyers step in, then you get your last little dumping effort and the price continues to rise even with that dumping effort. And what a great long trade on now a third, right, effort in the immediate picture back on that line from where we started. Let's extend now our support and resistance. We've got a swing low, a swing high. That's our definition, and we have 2 swings each. And from that definition, we can take that triangle, that immediate triangle, that little triangle, and we can start working the measurement of swing high to swing low using our apex here as part of our pattern and our great big triangles. We've been able to say my breakout pole to the apex, add that measurement over here on the right, and that's our first target. We know that already. We've established those lines. We've established this nice big support line based on a horizontal picture. And now as we keep going, we extend our triangle lines. And again, how would you like getting this swing low, getting this entry with another breakout? Look at where the discussion is on the apex. Can you trade to the apex? Can you take a bullish continuation, swing low, hold, and trade to the apex? That's a lot of money for 2 straight days, 3 days before they take a pause. They do that a lot. Okay, 1, 2, 3, pause, take a breather, but it's about the line in the sand on price. You get a chance to take profits and or join the party to go to the next target, which is the completion up there of your triangles. We keep expanding. So there it is. Does it coincide with a bigger picture resistance line? We don't know, but nevertheless, is it perfect with your targeting triangle? And I'm telling you right now, all my measurements, the purples, the blues, the oranges, everything, the red dots, they are all exactly measured the same size on this chart. And everything I give you, that is always the case. If it's not, I tell you where it's not. Otherwise, get out a ruler. They're exactly the same size. So all of these red dot sections are the same size. Take your triangle, swing high and swing low, and work from the apex going outwardly. How great a triangle is this for aggressive traders? Then we come to this effort, and we've now created a new thrust right here where the bars push here, and this is the thrust area, and they cannot get back up to that upper price. And what do you think happens? The sellers are in control now and pushing down. And yet again, was it a great target? Did we stop and take a pause on the apex? Go across the chart. The most worked number in the entire pattern, and for how long? And that is what makes your support and resistance work less difficult and a lot more accurate when you see this type of number getting worked that solidly for that long. The longer it builds on a number like that, the stronger it is. So do you think if you're finding a continuation pattern, you can work from that purple apex line? This pattern just kept coming, and the results are exactly what they should be. We update our triangle measurement again, swing high to swing low. Big message when they could not get to the bottom of our triangle here. And again, they're holding that horizontal support line after that breakout. And again, a capitulation sell. They cannot push price down any further. There's big buying bars. They get rid of all they've got left, and it holds a inverted head and shoulder pattern long. And again, we have to get through it and prove that we can hold it every time on that purple line. Come on, repetitious, right? And we're targeting the double top, are we not? And or look at those targets. We get to establish new targets with new swing high and low, and we add it to the apex. We can add it to the breakout, which is the classic way to do it. And then we also, once we get up here, it's just amazing how we go on and get these patterns working, these little ones. Look at the more conservative approach. Every red is a higher held low platform, and every red pole here is more conservative, and they are exactly the same size. Talk about repetition. Then add to it that you've got a new breakout, a whole brand new pattern, a brand new pole, which is there. You're supposed to plant your poles, add it to the breakout, plant your pole, add it to the breakout, 3 more poles, and basically a $50 one contract entry. One contract entry turns into $3,000 as an exit up here. A 6,000% gain with this expanding triangle. It's a beautiful concept. Again, those of you that are into Elliott waves and looking at some of the more diagonal type patterns, this line just kept coming. It was the line on the top for the targets, the extension line on that one. Beautiful, beautiful setup. And it all gets set up from that first big push. When they finally get a decent push, that creates that left shoulder. So we started our left shoulder here in the picture. This is a nice clean shot of what that tutorial looks like before they get all those wild lab annotations on it. And what we're going to be able to see here is that you've noticed, please, that the blue lines here outlining this level of support. The purple pole here is where we first planted it here. This was my choice for where to start that pattern. You can see why, I think. And again, the resistance line here marked with an R, the bullish base, the words there. And this location, okay, becomes very important because everything that started the pattern here was about the pole. And that's what we needed to start looking and analyzing our real-time data, looking at what creates the pole. It's the most important factor. That's what I've been teaching you and all of our continuation patterns, the pole, and understanding and recognizing it for the strength that it is and how it represents your trend and whether you have any more that you can be looking for the continuation or the prolongation. Remember, that's what we're trying to do. Find the trades that prolong that energy. So this will be the chart that's nice and clean for you to use in your studies. And this chart is actually the history of where we were in this location. You'll notice that the markings are the same where I started the pole, the same price value. This is where the R is for resistance, and this was what was going on that background in that chart that you couldn't see, because we were focusing just from where we start here with the R to this same location in the top. And again, I apologize for making that error in the math. The 3,000 target filled from that one contract was to the breakout, to that double top there. Then the rest of that went on for the full 7,000 from one contract entry right here where this is highlighted. But again, you'll notice, and this is our first video, please note I always try to stick with the same color coding, the same sort of shape and sizes so that you get the correlation between your different tools. Also note, if you will, that I use the exact same time frame. I did eliminate the daily vertical lines for you, but I pinched it up so that you could see the exact same time frame. Look at your volume patterns in the background. Look at your price patterns in the background. Notice that even during this phase here, in this bright blue wall of support that got created, notice what happened getting to that in your background. Okay? So again, we're going to work on these concepts, looking at them from a big, working on continuation patterns, even though we realize that inside all that material, there's a whole lot of little stuff to be trading as well. Okay, so thank you very much. This has been your tutorial first video on bullish continuation patterns and how to actually work them using real-time data. This has been brought to you by To The Tick, and this is just the first of many educational materials I have for you on the website. So come visit, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.